Katie Melua, great to see you.
Thank you, nice to see you too.
Rather a cool room, I think.
I know, it's lovely, isn't it? Wood panelling.
I am going to ask you to count us down in Georgian, please.
Okay, no problem.
Here we go. It's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Χუთի օթրի սամի օրի erti.
How many languages do you speak?
3. But English is the one I'm best at, probably. Georgian is my first language. But I also speak Russian because my grandma is half Russian and she always spoke Russian to me when I was young.
What was it like growing up in Georgia and what was then the Soviet Union for 8 years of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember much of the Soviet Union because I was really young when it was still part of the Soviet Union. Around 91, Georgia broke up from the Soviet Union and there was a civil war. So early 90s are the most sort of formative memories that I've got. And, you know, times were tough. That was one of the reasons we moved away because things like, you know, electricity and water weren't readily available at all times, especially the cold, hard winters.
I've read that you would carry water up several flights of stairs.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of became the sort of like my story of, you know, going from where I'd been to where I am now. But it's true, yeah, it was, you know, there was no water. And if it was, this was in the summer times, I'd go to the garden because I used to live in flats, the sort of Soviet flats. And there was a tap that the whole neighbourhood used to use, and you just queue up with a bucket, fill it up, and then carry it back home so you could wash the dishes or do something with it.
What's your earliest musical experience?
I think earliest music experience would be electricity would always go out every night, and the craziest thing about it was you never knew if it would come back on in 5 minutes or an hour or the next morning. So we had to just learn to entertain ourselves, and my mum would play the piano, and that was the sort of the centre of the house, and she'd play the first piece of music that completely grabbed me was Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. That totally just blew my mind. I remember hearing it with like candlelight around.
When you think of music, what do you think?
When I think of music, I don't really think I think when I think of music. It's more of a feeling thing. It's kind of I do find it's like a sense, I mean, sorry to sound really cheesy, but it feels like love, you know, like literally a glowing feeling inside. If it's a good piece of music that's inspiring, it literally transforms my mood.
Why does music matter? Hugely broad question.
I know, oh God, I think to me it's the most important thing ever. I mean, literally I can feel sad, depressed, rubbish, heartbroken, and then I'll listen to something and I'll just feel so in awe and in complete admiration of the song and the voice and the artist that everything else just goes away. It's a real sense of escapism.
Your parents moved from Georgia to Northern Ireland, and then after a few years there, you then moved to England.
Yeah.
And you were spotted, am I right, at an art school?
Yeah, I went to the Brit School. I did my A-levels and BTEC there when I was between the age of 17 and 18. And my second year, the start of my second year, my producer, my long-time collaborator now, who I knew nothing about, I mean, I was a kid, and it was Mike Batt. He came to the school, and he was looking for a singer in the style of Eva Cassidy. And I was a big Eva fan, and I'd just written a song about Eva, and I played it to him, and he liked it, and that was how the collaboration began.
How would you describe your musical progression over the years?
You know what? I think the best thing you can do is look back, you know, because you can't plan these things, and I tend to always just see how I feel at the time. So I describe it as working with Mike, a real team effort, and then working with a different producer, William Orbit, on my 4th album, which was a bit more experimental, quite challenging for me. And then the last record I made was with Mike again. It was influenced by an orchestral sound, which was just lovely and so inspiring to work with an orchestra. So it changes, and I don't really worry too much about the development.
I've read that you skydive, or you have done.
Yeah.
Are you an adrenaline junkie?
I'm very much an adrenaline junkie, but more in my head than in real life. I mean, when I was younger, yeah, to me it was the most important thing to experience everything in life, and it still is. So I did skydive about 3 times, and I love scuba diving, and there was a place I was on tour in New Zealand, and they of course invented the bungee jump. So I jumped off a building, but that was a controlled bungee jump, but it was so cool to just step off the building. That was really cool.
You've given an underwater concert.
I have.
Just talk me through that very briefly.
Well, we got a phone call, I think it was 2005, and they were asking me to do a concert at the bottom of a gas rig off the coast of Norway in the North Sea. And I did it, and it turned out to be the deepest underwater concert ever at 303 metres.
Do you consider yourself British or Georgian, or both?
Oh, definitely both. I think British in my mind and Georgian in my heart.
And that, Katie Melua.
5 minutes.
5 minutes, possibly a second too quick, sorry. Really nice to meet you.
Thank you, you too. Thank you.